Because if you have any inkling that you are going to be divorcing someone of high conflict, they are eventually, whether during the divorce or after, going to try to turn those kids against you.
The Ugly Truth of Divorce podcast with Sam and Leah, helping you not just survive, but thrive.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 5 tips for making the most out of your visitation time. So if you are a single parent, you are a co-parent, you are a step-parent, and you want to figure out the best way to improve your visitation, today is the day.
Yeah.
So where did you find this information at?
ChatGPT.
Oh, man, that's like side genius.
I was asking it questions. And so this is what it gave us. Five tips for making the most of your visitation time, ensuring it's meaningful and memorable for both you and your little ones.
Well, let's see if it's accurate. I'm curious to see if the computer knows something.
So number 1, be fully present. Put away the distractions. Your undivided attention means the world to them. This time is about creating memories, not checking emails. I know you're going to agree with that one.
I'm going to 100,000% agree with this one. And I am also a horrible person when it comes to this, especially certain days of the week. I work every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And when I say work, I usually work 12 to 15-hour days, and it carries over into my kid time. Now, I don't do it the other days, but those 3 days I am a slave to my computer. I just am, and my inbox. And I think being the only breadwinner in our household, I feel obligated to, but it is a horrible fucking trait. I did this horribly wrong with my first 2 kids when I was single. And I think I have the privilege of doing a little bit better now because Jared picks up my slack, which I'm not giving any excuse. It's a horrible, horrible habit. But before, when I was single, I was doing it all the time, and I was the only person there.
Right.
And my kids still remember. My bigs still fucking remember, oh, mom had her face in her computer all the time. Well, I was working a side job and I needed to pay the fucking bills.
Yeah.
Keep my head above water. But I was horrible at it. I was so distracted through my divorce. You know, I'm always going to tell people the honest truth. I was one that was like, go play, guys. Like, you have each other. Like, get out of here. I need to do this. I was doing laundry. I was doing my phone. I was doing my computer, all before playing with my kids the first few years, because I was so in my head that I couldn't see these 2 little kids looking at me saying, will you play with us? Will you play with us? Will you play? And I was like, you're fine. Go play. That's exactly the tone I would use. I'd be like, go play, get out of here and go play.
I feel like we've all been there.
I'm an asshole. Like,
well, no, I mean, you also, you were overwhelmed. You had a lot of shit going on. So, I mean, It's definitely easy to do. I think this is more just like reminders instead of like not shaming yourself if you're not doing this. It's just something to say, hey, just be mindful of this. You know, remember it's limited time, it goes by fast.
I think it's really important to hold on to it and realize, try to get as much shit done when you don't have your kids. Use that downtime for what you need to be doing. Like, don't pick up your kids from daycare until you have to and get all your work shit done. Don't, if they go to bed at 8:00, wait to do shit after they go to bed at 8:00. You don't have to do the dishes right in front of them. You can do the dishes once they're asleep. You can fold the laundry once they're in bed, or you can get up early and do it, or you can do it together. But this whole, like, I worried so much about my house and my side gig over my kids. And I don't get that time back, and they don't either. And then, when the other parent's like, hey, what'd mom do with you? And they're like, she told us to go play, like, you'll regret it. Just take that perspective. You will regret it when they get older, when they don't want to play with you, when they don't want your attention. Josie's in her room 99% of the time. I don't get to play with her anymore, so those years are valuable. So I'm 100% behind this one. Put your fucking phones down. Give them 8 minutes. Give them 10 minutes of actual engaging playtime, and you're going to feel better about your parenting, and they're going to feel valued and appreciated.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Number 2, engage in their interests. Dive into their world, whether it's building a Lego castle, painting, or kicking around a soccer ball. Engaging in activities they love shows you care about their passions.
I think this one, I just talked about this in a live the other day, and I think it's so valuable for people to understand this simple thing. If you are getting ready to get divorced or you are in a divorce, so many people focus on the divorce, and you need to be from the word go, diving into your kids. Because if you have any inkling that you are going to be divorcing someone of high conflict, they are eventually, whether during the divorce or after, going to try to turn those kids against you. And parental alienation is going to become a thing in your story. And if you wait until that parental alienation has started to start investing into your kids' interest and time, it's going to be too late because they've already like hatched into them and have turned them against you. So many people focus on their divorce and don't just pay attention to their kids. So when people say, how do I get my kids back after this parent is, you got to show interest in your kids. Your kids have to know who you are. They have to know that you value not this stupid question of how was your day? No kid wants to fucking answer that question, but they will answer the question, who'd you play with at recess today? What's one thing you ate today that you just didn't like at lunch? Who'd you have to sit by in your first class? What teacher pissed you off today? Ask them like you fucking care and then follow up. So many parents don't follow up. Like Josie had an anatomy test the other day. As soon as she was halfway through her day of school, I knew her anatomy test was over. I'm texting her, hey, how was your anatomy test? How'd you do? She then goes, holy shit, my mom's thinking about me. In the midst of her busy work day, she hit pause to ask me about my anatomy test. You know, when she got home, I'm like, okay, what parts from us studying did you not do good? What do we need to study hard? And I show value in her. So many of you are waiting till there's a problem with your kids to go, well, what are you into? You should already know. You should know who their friends are. You should know what kind of music they listen to. You should know what hobbies they're invested in. You should know what they're worried about. And so many of you are not because you're so distracted with the bullshit of divorce and you're looking at the other parent. Well, tell the other parent to stop talking shit about me. Tell the other parent to stop telling my kids not to like me. No matter what anybody says about me, I'm not a fan favorite in the town I live in. I know some people find that hard to believe, but I am not a fan favorite in the town I live in. And I'm sure my kids have heard some nasty shit about me, but deep down, they know who I am. So they can hear all this chatter, but no matter what, they know I have their back and they have mine. So your kids can hear a whole bunch of shit about you. As long as you have a valuable relationship with them, they don't care. They won't stray to the other side because even if my kids heard, man, your mom is a piece of shit. Your mom is fat. Your mom's a drunk. Your mom's a hoe. My kids are like, but that's not who she is to us. And it's because I showed interest in what they were doing. I've always known who their friends were. I've always known how they felt after their school day and not with the stupid question, with detailed questions. I would remember what teacher they couldn't handle. I remember what teacher they absolutely loved. And I would ask about those things. So you got to show value that you're listening to them when they talk and stop asking how was school. That's so, you know how many things they do every single day? They're there for 6 to 8 hours. There's 100 things. They could have had an emotional, I fucking hate going to school, but man, my 3rd hour class is awesome. Fucking hate PE, but lunch was cool. Mm-hmm. To say, how was your day? I don't know. It changed 90 times within the 6 hours. Which part do you want to know about? That's where you got to be more specific. So know your kids, know what to ask them. That's key.
Number 3, create new traditions. Start unique traditions that your kids can look forward to during your time together. It could be as simple as a special handshake or a favorite park visit or a weekend pancake ritual.
Yeah. So I think this is one, especially if you have high conflict, where the handshake that you can do across the gym when your ex won't let you say goodbye to your kids, right? Critical to have.
Like a
secret signal that, says, I love you. I'll see you later. To be able to have these new traditions in your home where the transition, and we're going to do a training inside the next chapter on transitions in the month of March. So be on the lookout for that. It's a fan favorite. We're doing it again. We've already done it once and people just absolutely loved it. So we're going to do that again. But that transition when they come home to you, what's their tradition? Is it a favorite meal? Is it a favorite snack? Is it a favorite activity that they get to do when they come home? A Nerf gun fight, a pillow fight, loud music? What is it that they can let out that aggression when they get home? So starting that type of tradition, I do the scavenger hunt at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. That's been our new tradition. We've done it for 16, 17 years. It is a fan favorite. My kids absolutely love it. My ex-husband doesn't do any of that shit. So right. You get to start your own cool shit. And the kids are like, yeah, we do that here, Dad, but at Mom's house, we do something different, and they know that the houses can be different and vice versa, right? So having those new traditions and holding true to them is really awesome. It really is, I like that one.
Open communication. Encourage open dialogue, share your feelings, and allow them to express theirs. It's crucial for building trust and understanding. Yes, so true. Yeah, I think a lot of times you feel like so many moms are like, I got to be strong for my kids. I got to keep it together for my kids. And I think that doesn't have to be true all the time. I think sometimes your kids can see you fall apart and have a bad day or be upset or cry. And that's okay. And communicate to them that you're human. You're not perfect. You're not a superhero, and you have feelings and emotions and fears and concerns. And so I think it's important to communicate that, but that doesn't mean that you should be necessarily telling them everything you think and feel feel. Like, don't be talking shit about your ex to them, you know, in specifics. But I think just showing them that you're just like a human, and that then creates a space for them to be vulnerable and share even more with you, and feel more comfortable with themselves. They do have an off day, or when they just aren't feeling good, and they could just say, yeah, like, this is just what I'm going through, and I'm upset about this and things like that.
I think it's if you want it to be that your kids open up to you, you have to open up to them. And so you have to share your insecurities about, you know, maybe your body, or maybe work, or maybe friendships that you've had. I mean, I have been in fetal position on my bedroom floor more than once in front of my children. And it hasn't been about my divorce. It's been about other struggles. And they know, like, this is just a moment. Mom needs to get it out. And I lead with that. You know, the very first few times that they saw that, I'm like, look, I just need to lay here and cry it out. And that's what my body is telling me I need to do. And I'm going to do that. And they just lay there. Both of them know to brush my hair. And what else do you need? And then Josie goes and cleans my house like crazy, because she knows that makes me super happy, and takes the stress away from me. But like, I think by me opening up to them about financial struggles or work struggles or friendship struggles, then it's so much easier for them to come to me, because they know I don't have it perfect. You know, I think a few months ago, I told you I had watched a TikTok of a CEO dad that was like president, CEO of a major company, and his son committed suicide. And in the note to his dad, he said, I just didn't feel like I could come to you because your life is perfect and mine wasn't. And this dad goes around now and gives tons of speeches to high schools about, I should have told my son that 3 businesses had failed. I should have told my son that I had filed bankruptcy. I should have told my son that his mom and I about divorced 3 times because I worked too much. I should have told my son that I was an alcoholic for 3 years when he was little. He's like, but I never opened up and told him any of those things. And he thought I was perfect. And he goes, I was so far from perfect. So that TikTok will always sit with me and make me remember that I have to let my kids know that I don't have it all figured out either. That way we can use each other. I've even gone to my older kids for advice on things. You know, because it's like they've went through shit. So why not see what they think and see if they could help me in my situation? I mean, sometimes I already kind of know what I need to do, but just having that reaffirming, you know, conversation with them has been helpful. But so many people don't open up to their kids. And again, what Leah said, we're not saying sit them down and be like, this divorce is fucking making me broke. You know, your other parent is ripping me off. Yeah. That's not what we're talking about. But you can talk about, I'm just struggling right now. I'm struggling with my emotions. I'm struggling with, you know, this or that. And age appropriately, open up to your kids. Age appropriate. You know, and know if you have a worry kid. I have one worry kid that obsesses and worries. You don't share as much with those type of kids. You know, your empath kids, you don't share as much with, because they take on your emotions. So know what kind of kiddo you have at home too.
And then be consistent. It says consistency is key. Regular and predictable visitations help foster a sense of security and belonging in your kids.
Yeah. And I think for those of you that are dealing with Disney parents, just know that it's a phase. You know, it's usually a heavy phase during divorce and early co-parenting, and it wears away. And don't ever feel like you have to compete with that parent that is being the Disney parent, you know, the parent that gets to take them places and buy all the things, because they're not buying the day-to-day shit like toothpaste and socks and fucking all the food, you know? And so live that out and just be consistent with what you provide, which is detailed questions, knowing your kid, filling their love tank, letting them transition slowly. That's what your kid wants. Yeah, your kid is going to brag about, oh, I got a new 4-wheeler. Oh, I got a new phone from the other parent. And that's fine. But that parent is only servicing one way of love, and that's gifts and showcasing. That's not sitting there holding their hair when they're puking. That's not sitting there letting them cry when somebody breaks up with them. That's the parent you want to be. You want to be the everyday, even when the shit is ugly, not the highlight reel, not the Instagram picture. You want to be the behind the scenes parent. And that parent, and that's who I am, the payoff is so huge, because now once they get older, they start sharing wins and bads, you know, wins and losses. They'll come tell you great things, and they'll come dump on you for the horrible things and expect you to fix it. But you're the consistent one that they know they can come to. The other parent's not. The other parent picks and chooses when they buy shit, when they do shit. And it's just, you got to fit in and find your place with them consistently. They have to know you're there, good days and bad, all the time.
Karen is saying, it's my first time joining you. Welcome, Karen. Awesome. Divorcing a narc after 24 years. You should get into the next chapter. Here, we'll leave a little thing for you, because if you're just getting a divorce now, especially with a narcissist, there's a lot of shit in there for you, Karen. There's, we have how to outmaneuver a narcissist, trial and mediation prep. We're doing a training on how to empower your kids to navigate a relationship with a narcissistic parent. We got a lot of narcissist stuff in there right now.
Yeah, we've really specialized in a lot of high conflict. And I really think where the world is just at, people don't have a lot of coping skills. People want instant gratification on all things in their lives, and divorce being one of them. They want it to hurry up and be over. And, they want their co-parenting journey to go a certain way. And when it's not, and then all this conflict arises. So making sure that you have your own coping skills, along with then teaching your kids these coping skills. I have parents all the time come to me and they're like, my kid's doing X, Y, and Z. I had a lady not too long ago that came to me and said, my son won't stand up for himself. He, tells me that he doesn't want to go and he won't stand up for himself. I'm like, oh, do you stand up to your ex-husband? Has your son seen you stand up to anybody in your life? A parent, a coworker, a friend, She was like, no. She goes, I'm a people pleaser. And I was like, oh, well, you're raising one too. That's why he won't stand up. So to me, if you don't have coping skills, your kids aren't going to have them. So it starts with you. You got to really get a hold of all of this stuff and comprehend where are your triggers so you can teach your kids triggers. I mean, my son has different triggers than I do. My daughter has different triggers than I do. But I've taught them, hey, the reason you're getting upset is this because this hits home for you. So like anticipate that. Don't let somebody get you. Anticipate they're going to go there and prepare yourself for them to go there. And that way they can't get you, and have coping skills set in place. It's a life skill, and I didn't have all this figured out when I started co-parenting. Leah didn't either. It's a matter of just tweaking what you're doing with your kids. But this visitation time that you have with your kids is the only time you have with them, right? You got divorced and now you've lost. You might have a 50-50 schedule. You might have a 70-30 schedule. Whatever amount of time you have with your kids, make it the most valuable. And the last bit of advice I'll give you that wasn't mentioned on here is don't talk shit about your ex during your time. Don't do it. I don't care if the other side is. It's not tit for tat. You're different fucking people. Show your kids that you are not the parent that will do this to them. Show your kids that you have risen above the bullshit, that you are not going to stoop to that level. And your kids, honestly, guys, just want to be kids. They don't want to hear adult conversation about, your mother's this, your father's this. They don't, because they love both those people.
Yeah.
And when one of those people talk shit about the other one, they love that person. And now it's so weird for them to comprehend, I love you, but you're talking mad shit about the other, like they hate it. And then they start judging you like, why you got to be so mean? I love that person. Yeah, you might have problems with them, but I don't. So why are you doing this to me? Why are you making me try to hate somebody I love? And it's very hard. So never stoop to that level. I don't care how bad it gets, because believe me, I've had it bad for many, many years where my kids have come home and told me things, or I knew that they were getting told things. I didn't stoop to that level. And it paid off for me in the long run, because my kids both live with me full time now, because they got enough of that bullshit. They had enough of the, your mom's this, your mom's that, your mom's that. They finally just drew a line and said, I'm done listening to it. We do not hate her the way you do. So please don't play that game. No matter how hard it is when your kids say something, you're like, ooh, I could just quickly defend myself real quick and fix this in my kid's head. Don't just show actions to show your kid that you're not that person. That's all you got to do. But honestly, that's all you got to do. You might not win every time, but eventually you being consistent will pay out. Yeah. It will pay out. It really will.
As they grow up, they figure shit out. They know who the problem was, right? Sometimes you just have to be patient, but they do figure that stuff out. Maria is saying, can you send me the info as well? Yeah, samandleah.com, everybody. Yeah. samandleah.com. You can find everything there. The next chapter, which you'll find on samandleah.com, that is that where we do a workshop every single Monday on different topics, where you'll find all that narcissist training, trial and mediation prep. We're actually having a guest speaker. Sometimes we do that. We're having a guest speaker in a couple of weeks come in and teach another workshop. So there's a lot of really, really good stuff. All the replays are in there. Once we do the live workshop, the replay stays. So there's a lot of content that you can go in and pick up, and it's $30. Best $30 you'll ever spend.
Absolutely. So you guys, if you've liked this episode and you feel like this would benefit for one of your friends listening to, feel free to share it. Leave us a comment, leave us a message wherever you're watching this. And really just know that you're not alone. These 5 tips are very critical. So go back, listen to it, take some notes, come up with 25 questions you can ask your kids about their day, not just about school, maybe their bus ride, maybe they're after school, maybe they go somewhere after school. Ask them detailed questions about their day. Start working on your love language, start working on your transitions, and all of that kind of language. Again, like she's mentioning, we teach in the next chapter. So get inside the next chapter so you can really get some finer details on how to improve that visitation time with your kiddos. All right. Until next time, guys, make sure you subscribe, like, and follow. Bye, everybody.